and we are going to get into the fishing topic.
Shit scares me.
Still not used to it.
What's that?
I forgot to do the news reel sound. We got new production tools, and I forgot to do it. Hey. So, that'll happen. But Tim,
yep,
we're going to talk about our fishing weekend. We're going to talk about fishing the opener weekend here in Minnesota. And I just am so excited that this is episode 69.
69
of the Real AF TV podcast, where we're going to just keep it loose and steady, moving about our weekend of fishing opener, because you went fishing for reals as much as you could, and you got stuff to talk about, and I was playing Zelda.
Right.
I was fishing in Zelda. If you go check out the Twitter account, I have a picture of me bow fishing in Zelda.
Yeah.
And then you guys actually catching.
I think your weekend went better than my weekend did.
So. Yeah, I think it did too. Let's see if we can split this up. This may merge into one, but let's talk about the fishing weekend, because you had different weather up there than we did down here.
Oh, really?
It wasn't super different. It wasn't super different, but you were actually quite a bit colder. Like, we almost got into 70s. You guys were not.
Oh, damn.
Right.
Yeah, it was chilly, man. We were like, I went up there and I had pants and a t-shirt on. And when I got onto the dock, I was like, well, it's time for a sweatshirt. Like, I had turned around and went and grabbed my sweatshirt immediately.
Just right away.
Oh, right away.
And also this is part 3 of a 3-part episode. We've been building up to this because of the winter being so shitty. We were really looking forward to opener.
Right.
I didn't realize until after. Okay, so it was episode 66 and episode 68 that we talked about, like, leading up to opener. So if you want to go back and listen to those, do that. This is like our end to our 3-part series of getting to fishing opener.
Yeah,
So yeah, you went right back out and you got your hoodie just like immediately.
Mm-hmm. Because it was windy as hell too up there.
Oh,
yeah, that played a role.
And at those temperatures on the water.
Yeah, and the water temperature was 49 degrees.
That is crazy, dude.
So it was blowing cold air across that water.
That is so cold.
Yeah.
When you texted me that, I was just like, what in the hell, dude? Like, I told my wife right away. I was like, that's the coldest water that I've ever known the temperature of without it being ice.
Right. I was expecting, I've seen colder, but that's like, because some years it's been hot enough to like where the ice has been out like late March, and it just got hot enough to like melt fast, and then it like got cold right away. So the sun wasn't there to warm up the water faster.
Okay.
I've been out there on like mid 40s.
Okay.
So yeah, sometimes it's like, damn, that sucks. But I was expecting like low 50s.
Yeah, by now
high 40s.
Right.
Well, so that got you by surprise. The whole like the sun and the water temp stuff, and with how there was wind and the longer hours of sun and everything, I just was expecting it to heat up really fast. Like how fast it went from like there's a lot of snow and ice still to all of a sudden like the lake's open. I was like, damn, dude, if it was able to melt ice that fast, it's got to be able to warm up that water pretty quick.
Right. Okay.
And then it like didn't seem to be as fast as I was expecting, but I guess lesson learned for next time. But it didn't really matter too much, because the fish were still moving up and stuff.
Yeah.
So
did this qualify for your fish? Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, you were going to say something else. Because I just started talking about water temp. I don't know if you remember
Oh, no,
whatever.
no, no. That's actually kind of where I wanted to go with it because like we were like down here, it was cold because I remember texting you and being like, "Good luck, man.
Yeah.
I know it's a little rough out there, but like I was still in shorts.
Oh yeah.
I only had a hoodie on because of the rain itself was so cold
Yeah.
that it was chilling me if I didn't have something stopping the water
Sure.
from landing on me.
Okay.
And then we broke the rain, I don't know, later in the day Saturday,
Okay.
and we saw some on Sunday, and like it was just, yeah, we didn't have the same weather, but it was
Sure.
fairly chilly start. So I
Dude.
knew that you guys were dealing with something different, and that's only the only place I was going. And then you told me about the water, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!" To hear the wind and the water, and we had wind, but it wasn't anything that I just like would have. It wasn't anything that affected me. I only had my hoodie on because
Sure.
again, to get away from the cold water. So was the rain fucking freezing
Yeah.
up there too?
Dude, the rain was cold. We didn't go out when it was raining. Like it was Saturday, we didn't make it up till later, but it was like
Hmm.
raining and shitty and everything. And like, so that's why it was like, all right, well, I'm not in much of a hurry to even get up there,
Sure.
because it's like just so cold and shitty.
Right.
And like, cold and rain isn't a big deal to me. Like, I'll still
Hmm.
go fishing and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the cabin, there's like nothing else to do. So it's a real dick move to be like, let's all go up there and then
Yeah.
you guys sit in the cabin and I'll go fish. You
Right.
guys find something to do. I think there's
Yeah.
Scrabble in the cupboard or whatever. And my son can't read, so just have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You have a
yeah, so we
freshly 5-year-old kid, like, you're
exactly. Yep. Um so yeah, we got up there a little bit later, and then once we got up there, I had some problem solving to do with my dad's depth finder on his boat because
Oh,
it just wasn't turning on right. And he's like, I think it might be the battery or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, the battery doesn't need to have a lot of juice to turn on the depth finder.
mhm, mhm.
It's not that big of a draw. So
Right.
it was just
Just
figuring everything out. I was like, try a new fuse. I brought up my battery because I know that that's like mint. My battery like
oh,
fully charges. There's no issue. I knew
yep,
we would have no problems. So I'm like, not the battery because it's not working with that. And then
okay.
it was like the fuse holder itself.
Oh,
Something in there was like
like
not
the
working.
whole
So I
fuse box?
yeah, well like
Like, all the fuses?
the fuse holder for like a depth finder and stuff is like it's almost like inline. Well, the first
Oh,
one he had was an inline, but it literally is on the cord itself, the
it's
hot
built
cord.
it's built in. Okay,
Yep,
okay.
yep, built in. So now it's like a little miniature version of uh car fuse. And I don't
Oh,
know if I've ever said miniature with like pronouncing the A like that.
miniature like you did?
A little miniature. It just came out and I was like, that sounded like,
It's just like
what
the
am I
GIF and the
fucking
GIF thing
British?
that we were just talking about, like, before. It's British. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. Got a miniature aluminum can. Anyways, yeah, so I got all that handled and then we got the boat ready and then like we ate supper and then we're like, all right, we'll go out and see what we can catch after supper. So we didn't try for walleye or nothing. We're like, we're going back to where the crappies are because that's, we're not trying to dick around. The weather's not great. The wind is there. And we know that there's the way the wind was blowing, like the
Mhm,
calmest spot on the lake is going to be the one spot that we know has crappies.
mhm.
So we'll go back there. We're
Nice.
bobber fishing with crappie minnows and stuff.
And you knew right where it was, right? Like, you just,
Oh,
like, had this
I'm
spot. You're like, "We're going to
this
that spot."
this lake when it comes to crappie spawning, I know like 7 different spots, and it's
Mhm.
literally like whichever one the wind's not hitting, because we
Ah,
want to be able to see the bobber moving and everything, and like because
yep.
this time of year, um, the the crappie are almost just kind of like swimming around,
Okay.
and the water's not that deep, and they don't necessarily always like grab it and swim down. Sometimes they just grab it
Oh.
and swim sideways. So
Oh,
sometimes your bobber all of a
I
sudden
never
just
thought
like
about that.
starts.
I've
Yeah,
seen that.
sometimes the bobber just starts moving Like you just watch it sit there, and all of a sudden it'll just start like trying to drifting one way, and you're like,
Right.
that's going against the wind. And then you
Right.
just set the hook, and you're like, oh, I was right.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
I've been in that situation. I think with you up on that lake is where like I have the most. I can't say that that's the memory, but I know exactly what you're talking about right away. And I'm
Yeah.
always like, well, it's not going down. What am I supposed to do?
Right. Yeah.
Just
But
go
every
for
once
it.
yeah,
That's the
dude, go
answer.
for it. I'm pretty sure that we'll all do that too. Gets a little bit annoying, I'm sure, for some people, but we're all just being like, you got something? Dude, it looks like it's moving weird. Is it moving weird? And like, because we're all
Yeah.
telling it, you have the
Right.
green bubble, right? That's you? I think you got one. Try it. Lift it up.
Hell yeah.
But
That's totally.
yeah. So we go back there, and we have crappie minnows and stuff. And we're sitting there for a while, dude, and this is weird. We're sitting there and we're not catching anything for a while. And then my wife, all of a sudden, like, bobber goes under, she sets the hook and starts reeling, and like the drag is running. And I'm like, damn,
What?
you got a good one? And she's like, it's a pretty good one. And then she gets it in, and it ends up being like a 3-pound northern, which
Oh
is
yeah.
like
Okay.
not much for a northern, but like
Right.
northerns, if you're not familiar, or if you are familiar, you know that the northerns go on runs. It's weird. It's not like a consistent pull. It's like you'll fight them a little bit, and then all of
Oh
a sudden it just goes zzz, they
yeah.
take off. They try to swim fast,
Yep.
and then you pull them in again, and then they'll keep doing runs. It's almost the opposite of like a sunfish. A sunfish is just like a tank, like, oh, I'm going,
Right.
I
Just like
won't stop,
100%.
never
Go,
stop.
go,
And
go.
yeah. But so she gets it up, and we're like, northern, damn, that's crazy. Like, we don't catch a lot of northerns, with the tiny crappie minnow, but it happens. Just doesn't
Yeah.
happen that much, and definitely
Right.
not back in this area. Like,
Yeah.
it's not known to hold a lot of little pike back here. So whatever. So we catch that, and then nothing for a while. We're like, okay, whatever, that
Okay.
makes sense. There's just one northern that was swimming through. Fine. We'll see if we catch something else. All of a sudden, bam, my wife's bobber goes. Bam, my nephew bobber goes. Bam,
What?
my bobber goes.
What?
We have a three-peat crappie. We all catch a crappie at the same time. And actually,
What?
I think mine went first because I reeled it in. And I'm like, hey, that's a crappie. And mine was kind of little. And then both of those guys caught crappies that were worth keeping. I tossed mine back because I was like, that one's too small. We're not keeping that.
Sure.
And then they caught there, and I'm but like, those two are worth keeping. And then we put
Nice.
all the minnows, we put all like new minnows on, and we cast them back out. And we don't get anything for a while.
What?
And I think
So it's just like
so
bam,
the
bam,
water,
bam. You got 3
yeah.
hits and then they go on pause. What the
And
fuck?
so the water is like warming up, and I think they're starting to move in to the spawning areas. They're not spawning yet.
Okay.
And
So you
whatever
think this is
happened,
the water's warming from like the evening or the morning cold rain shit, and now you're getting into evening and it's a little bit warmer and
yeah, like it wasn't raining anymore. So I think it wasn't like dropping down cold rain. I think it was just kind of like the water's warming up a little bit. And I don't know exactly what it is, but it was like something triggered them. It was like at that very moment, I think they were all close. And whatever happened at that time just told them, like,
almost like a feeding frenzy sort of
yeah, it was
situation,
like
maybe.
almost like we eat. Now we eat. And it's just, I don't even know if like maybe it was a certain noise or something that triggered them. But it was
Sure.
so weird that all three, like, we were sitting there for a while and then nothing after it for a little while again.
Right. That's
And we're like,
that's the
damn, this
weird
is
part.
gnarly that it just went 3.
Yeah.
And it happens like that sometimes where you'll have like people catching fish at the same time, but to have nothing for a while and then 3 and then nothing again. But then, so we catch those 3 crappie. We're sitting there for a little bit longer. My dad catches a pike. My nephew catches a pike.
Jeez.
And then I think I don't know who else. Maybe my wife caught a second one. I think my wife caught a second one because we caught 4, but I don't know who all caught them. But we caught
Okay.
4 pike,
But
man. We
still,
caught as many
yeah,
pike as we caught crappie,
that's crazy,
which
dude.
I don't think has ever happened before, like even close to that. Like regardless of what time of year,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm nervous to see what the summer brings. I am going to keep
That's
every
right.
single
We've
northern.
talked
We're going
about
to
that
keep,
so much. Go off.
because the DNR has like made the limit less on that lake than any other lake. They raised the limit for every other lake, and then they
Except for
kept
this
that
lake.
one like, yeah, they kept it down. So it's like whatever. I'm keeping them, and I'm eating those 3, and then I'm going out and I'm catching another 3. But I didn't keep any of these this
Oh,
time because
okay.
I wasn't expecting us to keep 4. So the first one catch, okay, cool, throw it back. Second one, I was
Oh,
like, damn,
right.
maybe we should have kept those other ones, throw it back. Third one, I'm just like, well, we could have had some if we would have kept those other 2. I'm not catching any more, throw it back. Number 4, I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on?
But they were eaters. Like you would have kept them as eaters. The
Yeah, they were
size of
little
them.
guys. Yeah, they were little
Yeah,
guys. Like you could have got some meat off of them, but for
sure.
sure, like yeah, I didn't measure them. I wasn't really
Right,
looking
because you
to
weren't going to
keep
keep
any of
them,
them,
but
but
like
yeah,
looking back on the memory, like just thinking about it now, just recalling, you're like, yeah, we
oh
could have
yeah,
eaten those things if they
for
would have
sure,
measured, of course.
yeah. With 4 of them, hell yeah, could have ate all of them.
Fuck,
But
dude, so
so
weird.
because they were smaller too, they probably would have been good ones for like pickling because the bones are small.
I know that's what I was thinking about too. It's like, shit,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I got to get up there.
so so we do that. I catch a tiny little bass. It's the only bass we caught. So clearly the water hasn't warmed up yet because a lot of times
Large.
when you're up in that area, yeah,
Oh,
the largemouth, there's a lot of largemouth that come up in there.
right.
So to only
I just
catch
want to
one
double
little
check.
one is like, okay, so they're not moving up to spawn yet at all. You know,
Ah,
maybe they're out and about swimming around, scoping stuff out. But
right.
back here, normally when the crappie spawn is on, the bass are up there like mad. And I only caught that
Okay.
one little baby.
Yeah.
And then um my son actually, so I'm sitting there and I'm watching the bobber and it starts swimming sideways a little bit. And I set the hook and I feel it, and it feels like a decent fish, and it's his little rod, and he was
Yeah.
kind of like over it already because we were sitting there for a while and not really getting
Right.
anything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, Beckett, dude, come here, come here, come here, grab it. And he grabs it, and I let him reel, and he's reeling it, and he's reeling it, and he's getting it all the way to the thing, and he's there, and he's like still reeling it, and he's like not really grabbing the concept. He's like reeling and reeling. I'm like, now you gotta lift it up. And he's like, you won't go any farther. And I'm like, not reel it up, dude. Lift it up. You got to lift it now.
Uh huh.
You're reeled all the way. You have to physically lift it in to the boat. And he tries and he gets it to close. And I'm like, higher, dude. And lifts it. And he gets it in. And we're like, whoa, dude, that's the biggest crappie. And it was the biggest one. And he's just like, yes, yes, doing these kind of things. And he's like, I can't believe I caught that one. And then as soon as he catches it, we put it in the live
Dude.
well.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that was pretty cool. You want to go another? And he's just like, no, can I be done fishing now? And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You get that like adrenaline rush and you're just like, yes. And then just like, I was like, I know I'm saying like a lot right now. I'm hearing myself do it. But
Oh, I.
so I apologize for that. I'm saying like, and like, I'm like, oh, I started
You're hyped
annoying
up right now.
myself. I'm trying to start annoying myself. But I was just, I guess, dude, if you like, that's a good call, I guess. Just go out on top.
Go out on top.
You catch the biggest one, and you're just like, no, I think
I
I
think
think
I'm
that's it. We're
gonna
good.
stop.
I sat out here. You guys caught those 3 small ones, nothing for a while, a couple pike, and then I reel in the biggest crappie. I think we reached our peak. All right, dude. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. We sat there, and it started to get a little bit darker, and we said, well, we should probably get back across the lake before it gets too dark to land the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back, put the boat on the lift,
Hold
all
on.
that good
Before we
jazz.
jump into the next day, because
Yeah.
we've already talked a little bit about it. Before we jump into the next day, let me ask the thing that I was going to ask before, because before we get off of crappie fishing, I wanted to ask, is this the goal? This was the thing I started leading into a little bit early because I knew where you were going. And then I
Yeah.
was like, wait, save it for after the story. That's how you do this. That's real. That's conversation. So I
Sure.
stopped talking. So yeah, do you think this qualified for your goal, your fishing goal that you had, where like get out early, or was it just not early enough?
Not early
No,
enough. No,
no,
because they're moving already.
right. And that's what I thought.
I
But I want to
Yeah,
hear
I
your
think there's
thoughts.
probably some. I think there's probably some pre-spawn there where
Mm-hmm.
you could fish pre-spawn areas, and there are going to be crappie.
Yeah.
But because they're moving up already, it's like they're already here. There's no point in trying to learn if they're not here. Like,
Oh.
you got to get to getting when the
Okay.
getting's good. It's like
Okay.
those
I
fish
got
are
you.
up in the shallows, so there's no point in trying where they might be. I might as well fish where I know they are.
Yeah. Okay.
So it got too late. Like even if they are a little bit further out,
Yeah.
it's too close to when they're moving up to really learn anything.
I gotcha. So yeah, the whole technique of what you were talking about on the previous podcasts of like, hey, if they're not here, you might want to go out and try to find them in like maybe where the ice fishing is, and where
Right.
those like where they were maybe still down into deeper waters a little
Right,
bit.
exactly.
You didn't get a chance to
Yep.
do that because you were getting mixed messages. I don't know
Yeah.
how else to put that.
I
Is that
was
how you'd put it?
a little bit of mixed messages, but I think that just everything happened so fast this year that everything was moving up. I
Yeah.
think the only way I accomplish my goal is when we have like a normal ice out, and we're talking like
Gotcha.
we got weeks before the fishing opener starts.
Right. Like that
Not
whole March 1st is when you got to have the ice houses off. A few days later, not a few days, a week later, some ice off is already happening. Like you have
Yeah.
the majority of March to get to maybe even start scoping lakes and being like, okay, this
Well,
one's
I
open,
think
this one's opening, this
yeah.
one's opening.
I think definitely we have a lot of April normally,
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I think
Right.
most of April
Mm-hmm.
is open season, because they talk
Sure.
about like April showers bring May flowers.
Oh,
And
right.
this year
Right.
it was just like fucking April snowstorms. Uh, and then cross your
Fuck
fingers for
you.
May or whatever that saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Okay. Yeah.
so it was
So
it
you,
was gross,
I get
man.
it. I get
Yeah.
it. So yeah, that's why it didn't,
Yeah.
you were already thinking they were moving. And I know, I don't, let me, if this is getting ahead of things, or if you were jumping, if you're ready to jump into the other thing, but
Oh,
you
go
had me
ahead, man.
thinking, what, what, what do you think you learned from the pike? Like you're getting almost as many pike as you are crappie. You're in the same area. Like, did you learn anything about the pike movement, do you think? Or I don't know how they
Dude,
move at all. So,
no, no. So not. I didn't really learn anything for the pike because the pike will move up. Like in those weedy areas, they're always pike there. So I got
mm,
two different things. One,
okay.
I've never given a shit when a pike spawns. I do not care. It just doesn't matter to me at all.
Okay.
And so it was like a
Yep.
two-parter. It's like one, walleye and pike spawn early. And it's like, were those pike legitimately up there to spawn? And we were catching them on like the back end of their spawn. I don't know where they spawn. I don't know anything about
Uh,
the
right.
pike movements out throughout the season because I don't target them because I don't have to. They're there eating anything that I throw out, regardless of where I am in the lake.
You're so easy. No, easy. You have so much pike bycatch that you don't really
Yes.
have to, that you haven't really made a point to study them like you have bass and
Oh
other
yeah.
species that you really enjoy targeting.
Yeah, because they're the
Okay.
goddamn it fish. They're like when you
Thought
catch
I had
big
a
ones.
really good walleye on.
Yeah.
God damn it.
When you catch the big ones, it's fine, but I don't target them because most of the time, like, I'm out there just trying to catch a different species, and I end up catching a pike, and they
Mm-hmm.
bite off my line. Like they're snapping off jigs and biting off
Sure.
lures and stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm catching them when I'm trying to bobber fish. Like they're just always there,
Right.
so I don't seek them out. We don't.
Yeah. I mean,
There's
you know how to fish
there's
them though, because like when I asked you about like, can I catch one from shore, and we did that whole episode, and like that,
oh
like
for sure.
you gave me a ton of tips, and I tried a bunch of things, or
Yeah.
I tried a few things, and like, so you know how to fish them, you know how to like put the leader
Oh
on,
yeah.
I I only say that in case somebody's new to the podcast or something like that,
Sure.
right? And just
Oops.
come in here and because you're just like, I understood everything you were saying, but you were just like so
Oh yeah.
dismissive, like whatever, man, pike, fuck them, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like that's the
Yeah.
way
No.
I was listening to it, with a not me and you rapport ear, and I was
Right.
like, I better just
Sure.
kind of throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you can definitely you can fish for them the same way you fish for muskies if you're trying to catch bigger ones. I've caught
Right,
bigger ones also trying to fish for bass. Like they'll hit those same lures and stuff.
right.
My biggest, ironically, my biggest pike that I've ever caught, one was off of a bass jig when I was using a heftier size setup because I wanted to catch big bass.
Uh-huh.
And the other one was off a 16th ounce jig early in the spring when I was trying to catch panfish. So it's just like
There's two
they're,
opposite ends of stuff, like
yeah.
you're just
So
whatever.
there's a lot of ways to catch pike because they're, just out there snatching up whatever. I mean, tiny jig, dude.
Right.
And I can't even remember what I had on there. Like a small,
It's weird.
I seem to remember it was like a green jig with like some sort of a black plastic, but I can't remember. But it wasn't very big at all.
Right.
And
Interesting.
that was it, dude.
Yeah,
And
and
it
now
was
this
big
too. It's
and
just like more info on top of it, and it's like
yeah.
you're remembering this, like you have all this like filed away in your brain, but like
Yeah.
what does it do? I don't know. Nothing really. Like you
Yeah.
got it. You can
Yeah.
bring it up when in
Yeah.
conversation, well, but for your personal techniques, you're just not going and like getting it. It's
Correct.
just happening to you.
Yep. Yeah, it's just happening. Yep.
Such a weird way
Yeah,
to put it.
because when I was younger, um my dad would like go out sometimes trolling, and
Okay.
like the only ways we ever fished was like the weird live bait ways that I personally don't really ever use now. But we
Okay.
would have what he would call a harness, and I think it's still called just a minnow. I don't think it's called a minnow harness. I don't know what it's called exactly because a minnow harness, it doesn't matter. But it's
Okay.
like this metal rod with a spinner on the front. So it's like a
Oh.
spinner here and a metal rod. And
Okay.
you shove that metal rod completely through the minnow. It goes in the mouth and you push it through until it
Oh.
pops out the asshole. And then once it pops out the butthole, you put this like dual, not a treble hook, but it's like two hooks instead of the three hook prong. So you
Okay.
put that on that metal piece so it can't go back through. Like once it's through, you
Sure.
put that hook on
Yeah.
there.
Uh-huh.
And then you fish it like that, dude. You just drag it in the water. It's like an
Weird.
inline spinner, except for you have a real minnow on it.
You're right.
And then you just drag that around, and then a northern comes and hits it sometimes. Or you would take those same big sucker minnows and you would just use one of those like softball size red and white bobbers, or sometimes they're
Oh,
orange or whatever, but you just put those
right.
big ones on there
Yep.
with a sucker minnow. And then that one is not like what the crappies are, where the bobber just starts swimming
Because that
sideways.
one,
Because
the minnow will actually
the
move the
the
bobber.
minnow's
The
swimming
bait
with it, and you're
swims
watching.
the
Yeah, you're
bobber.
watching
Yeah.
it. Yep. So I did that when I was younger, and we targeted the northerns. And I
Sure.
remember telling other people, when we were little, just like my dad caught a 5-pound northern. And then just like you go and you catch one, and you're just like, nah, I caught a 5 pound northern, telling everybody, I caught a 5 pounder. They're like, 5 pounds? Yeah, 5 whole pounds. 5 pound northern, 5 pounds. It had teeth. It was crazy. And now I'm just like, dude, 5 pound northerns just hit my shit all the time, and I'm sick of it.
So well, how'd you catch the bass? Because you were talking about the bass and how northerns just steal your shit all the time, basically when you're bass fishing. So how'd you get
Yeah.
this tiny baby bass? And that was one random
Oh,
occurrence, right? That didn't tell you shit about what's
yeah.
going on in the water, did it?
No, same shit. That it was all just bobber fishing up in the shallows.
Oh, okay. That was
Everything's
still
kind
on
of
the
in the
bobber.
same area. Yep. Everything was on the bobber. I didn't try to do anything else because we were only out for like an hour that morning.
Okay.
And then I had the ideas to I was going to go try for walleye in the morning. And so we successfully drove across the lake. And I wasn't sure
From the
if
crappie night, from that night that you guys were fishing for crappies
yeah,
at those
okay.
lakes, right? Okay. So you're back at the
Yeah,
cabin from that.
we're back at the cabin. We do all that stuff. The next morning we go out and we drive directly across the lake. And the way the wind is blowing, it's pushing us from, like, it doesn't matter the direction, but where we're looking, the wind is going from left or from right to left. It's pushing
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
And I'm just like, perfect. I want to set up. I want to try to take some casts here because I've seen walleye here before, but it was a little bit warmer. I don't know if they're here or where they're at. This wind is throwing stuff off.
Uh-huh.
I've physically seen them here. With this wind, I can't see shit. So I'm like, I just want to let it push me. I have no idea what depth we're dealing with, anything like what depth we should be dealing with, I should say. I know what depth
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yep.
And I
At this point,
had
you're out there hunting. You're just out there
right.
hunting for
And
walleye. You
I
kind of
probably
have
should have
your area.
yeah.
You want to go for
So I
it.
probably should have put on a jig because that's what I've done. But also I was excited to try the new I forget exactly what they're called. It's the Rapala
Yeah.
Shadow Jig. I'm gonna
I
the
feel like you talked about him on the last podcast when we were trying to predict the weather, which is how
yeah.
hopefully we'll get to that and stuff like that. But we were talking about what techniques you're going to use and based on what the weather forecast is, a week ahead of time and all this other stuff. I think you brought it up in that, didn't you? Or am I wrong? I didn't go back and listen to the podcast, right? I just went forward and
I
thought
don't
about this
remember if I did or not.
one. Okay.
I think I did, probably.
Yeah. I feel like you talked
So
about Rapala, so I don't know
yeah.
why, like what else we would have been talking
Yeah.
about exactly.
Well, I think I might have brought up how so there's a Rapala jigging wrap, which is more of like an ice fishing lure, or which is what it was made for, but people started
Yeah.
fishing for it in the summer.
Yeah.
And I think I might have talked about that one. I don't
Yeah,
know
that
if I
sounds
talked about the
familiar.
other one.
Mhm.
But the jigging shadow wrap is actually lighter weight than the jigging wrap.
Okay.
And the jigging wrap has a hook on the front and the back, and then
Yep.
a treble hook underneath.
Oh, holy cow. I
And
didn't see that treble hook coming.
yeah. So on the jigging shadow wrap, it's a little bit different shaped. It's lighter weight than the jigging wrap,
Okay.
and it has the hook on the back with the treble underneath, no hook on the front.
Whoa.
But the thing with the fish in the springtime is that they move a little bit slower. So fishing a really fast bait doesn't really work that well.
Right.
So the jigging wrap is way heavier and it causes you to have to keep popping it faster. Like it literally just darts doom, 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 like that. Because it's kind of like it's almost like it has like a wing on the back, like kind of a V-shaped wing.
Okay.
And it glides. Every time you pop it, it goes up and then it glides down. And then when you pop it again, it'll change directions. Pop and then glide down. Pop and then glide down.
Yeah, like left to right
So,
as you pop it.
exactly.
Yep. And this is the thing you were excited to fish?
So the thing I was excited to fish was this new shadow wrap because it's lighter.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, maybe we can get away with fishing that in the springtime and that thing has been deadly on walleyes. Like it's just been something I was playing with the last couple of years, and last year I
Mm-hmm.
really started getting into it, learn like fishing way deeper than I ever had before, all sorts of fun stuff. And I was like, this thing
Mm-hmm.
is telling me so much stuff. I'm so excited to try to use this certain thing for where I saw a walleye in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I let the boat push us. I fished it in that area. I got what I thought maybe was 2 bites, but I didn't actually hook up on anything. So I was like, I don't know if I
Okay.
just caught weeds. I didn't have any
Right.
weeds. It's fast. It's kind of hard to tell because when you're constantly popping it,
Yep.
every once in a while when you rip it up, there's just weight there.
Okay.
And then, but it was like I felt something, but then I didn't feel anything. It just for a second, there was more than my lure there.
Right.
So I'm like, that didn't really tell me much. I don't know if I had a fish. One time definitely felt like a bite where I was like, that felt like a fish.
Okay.
But I've also had times where like smaller fish come up to see what it is. And I
Mm-hmm.
literally just run the fucking lure into them. Boom.
You
And just be
snag
like,
them.
that
Yeah.
that felt like something, you know?
Uh-huh.
So anyways, we took that one pass, didn't catch any fish. And it was like, I'd like to sit here more and try to figure this out, but we don't need to. I was taking one pass and I was like, if this works, cool. We can take another pass. If I catch a fish and we're like, there's fish here, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. It didn't work out the first time. So
Mm-hmm.
I immediately just said, it's cold, it's windy this part of the lake. Let's just go back to where we were yesterday
Mm-hmm.
and catch crappie because we know we can do that. We can figure out walleye some other time. If it was just me, I would
Mm-hmm.
have sat there longer and I figured them out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my dad and my nephew. Neither of them are fishing like I am. So they're just kind of like, my dad's just like dragging a jig on the bottom with a minnow. And I'm like, that's perfect, honestly. Like, do that
Yeah.
and we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see if that catches anything. And
Right.
then my nephew, he was casting some fucking garbage lure that he had. And he's like, I just want to try this. I'm like, yeah, dude, whatever. Fine. That's not going to teach us anything. But I guess if you catch it, I'll just be like, oh, look at that piece of shit worked. I don't know. It was just some weird little like cheap swim bait that didn't swim right. And
Uh-huh.
he's like, oh, you got to fish it like this to make it work. And I'm like, dude, you do whatever you got to do to make it work because it's not doing what it's supposed to. The eyelet's like it's leaned over and the body's soft. So I couldn't grab it to like tweak the eyelet over so it would swim true. It wouldn't swim
Uh-huh.
straight. It kept like half-ass leaning on its side trying to turn to the right. Just weird shit. Doesn't matter. So we didn't catch any fish and we're like, we're gonna go back to where those crappie are.
Mm-hmm.
We fire up the motor, start driving, and we get maybe 100 yards from where we're at, and all of a sudden it goes beep, and we're like, what the fuck is that? And my dad looks down and it says no oil on the dash. And we're
Not
like,
even
no,
low oil.
not low. It says no oil.
No
We go,
oil.
no oil. What the fuck?
the-
So he shuts it down and then he goes back and looks. Oil tank is full, because it's got
Oh.
a separate. It's a 4-stroke engine, so it's got its own separate oil reservoir. So it like pumps the oil into the gas automatically.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, because I think it's a 4-stroke, but I don't know, I forget.
But either way, it's
I
not
don't-
like a mix. It's not like an old lawnmower where you have to mix it, or like even an
Yeah,
older
no,
boat engine, right?
right.
Where it's not, you put the oil in the gas. It's like for every gallon of
Exactly,
gas, you put in
yeah.
a quart of oil or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
It's
right.
not that.
No,
You fill
it's
them up
not that.
separately.
It is you fill up the oil and it does its thing.
Right.
So we're like, all right, well, I guess the oil pump's gone. And my dad's like, well, it just said it, but the oil's full. And he's like, we'll try it again. And we start it up. And then we're like, it doesn't smell right though.
Yeah.
It's definitely
But
not.
you can tell right away
Dude,
on a boat engine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, that does not smell like it's supposed to. So we go, okay. So we drive back the boat from where we're at with the trolling motor. And we're like about as far away as you can get. But we got the wind at our back. Not a big deal. But it takes us like 40 minutes to drive back to the cabin.
Sure.
with just the trolling
Shit.
motor, just sitting there driving. We get back, we're like, all right, well, we got to take it to a shop. So we'll drive it over to the landing, but let's eat some
Oh,
breakfast. We eat some breakfast. And then this is how chilly the wind was. I put on 3 sweatshirts because I'm like,
God
well, I
damn.
just have to, I have to sit here with no windshield to block the wind because it's going to be at my back. So I'm just going to have wind blowing at my back. And
Oh,
it's
fuck.
like, you know, in the
Yeah.
morning, it was like 45, 50 degrees with
Yeah.
like
It
strong
was
winds. So
cold,
I'm
dude.
just like, I just need to bundle up. And I
Mhm.
just, you know, put on the 3, put on the trolling motor on high, grabbed a second battery because I'm like, if one battery dies, I got a second battery right here ready to go.
Good call.
And then I just played on my phone while I slowly drove across the lake.
I played on my phone. And there ain't nobody else out here. And I am going
No,
3 miles an hour.
I know. I was saying like I
Fuck.
had that. I got my portable speaker. I should have put on there just at 2 miles an hour so everybody
Yeah,
sees.
dude.
I should have just played that on loop.
Just played that.
Just put on my shades and act like I meant like I'm doing this because.
Right.
Just wait, somebody else comes over and they just be like, are you doing okay? Just being like, doing more than okay, bro. Fishing opener. They just have a story to go back to tell. Yeah. How'd this weekend go? Oh, it's great. We got out going fishing, everything was good. And you're never gonna believe this. Some dude just driving across the lake. It's cold and it's windy, and he's just playing 2 miles an hour
It's
as
just
he's
got
driving
Ludacris
across.
on, and he's fucking playing on his phone, driving a full-size boat with just the trolling motor.
Yeah,
Had sunglasses on. It was cloudy out.
I thought
Crazy
maybe
dude.
he was stuck, but then we were like, "Are you okay?" And he was just like, "Hell yeah!"
And we drove away. It was fucking weird.
Yeah, he was living his best life, doing nothing but driving a trolling motor across.
Now I want to hear
so I
more about like where the boat is now and stuff like that, but I want to go back to the fishing news and how I brought that topic to tie into all this. Besides the weather and like the rain and how it was kind of going, because we are getting some rain now, and that's why we were talking about it. But the lake that you're on has been overfull, so it's been overfull for 2, 3,
Yes.
4
Yep.
years now. It's been a long time. So what the hell's going on there? And did that
It's
fuck with you this weekend or this past?
it's not any better. It didn't fuck with me, no, because it's been kind of stable around here for a while.
Okay.
But it's still over full. The cabin at the end of my parents' road has like the corner of the one cabin, like the foundation is washed away.
It's just
I
gone
think that cabin had been sitting there forever, like in the water, and just looked normal though. And now the one corner, like the roof and everything you can see is like sagging.
Yeah.
Like it's all that corner's falling into the water.
Yeah.
So
It's about to go.
yeah. Ironically, that was the dude that used to always water the road because he didn't like it when you drove by and got all the dirt on his cabin. Ain't getting dirty now, is it, fuckface? Got plenty of water to keep that thing from getting dusty. Oh, it sucks for him. Like I'm just
No,
joking,
I know. You're just trying to make light of the situation. I get where you're going like that, but because that guy used to just piss you off all the time, and now
it is ironic. That dude would literally be out there like Saturday morning with a freaking garden hose watering the road so it wouldn't like kick up dust when you drove by.
Right.
And he'd be telling people that they needed to slow down.
Slow
like,
down, of course. Yeah, I knew
we're
that
going
was
10
coming.
miles an hour, dude.
Right.
Nobody goes fast on this road.
No.
Slow down.
I know. I have the same thing with you get in these tight little neighborhoods and everyone, like the fucking at home, the people who just work at home and have nothing else to, or don't even work at home. That's the people who are just the stay-at-home parent. They have nothing else to do. So to feel valuable, they feel like they have to bitch about the neighborhood. Whatever it is, it
Ooh,
doesn't matter. Just pick a thing, right? So that way they have
sure.
something to focus their energy on. It's always negative.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to put up speed bumps, or they have to make sure that every corner has a sign on it that says slow children playing and has the speed limit on it.
Oh
They
yeah.
feel better if they did that. That's how they feel so good. Like they're fucking heroes of the
Yeah.
neighborhood. And then you go, yeah, we all live here. We're all
Right.
doing fucking 10 or 15 miles an hour through this neighborhood already. Like, what?
Yeah. I
Wait.
drive. Yeah. I
These
drive
roads are
by.
fucking tiny.
Right. I've been seeing these signs that say 20 is plenty. And I just want to be like, tell my fucking boss. I don't, I got shit to do. 20 is
Right.
plenty. I got a
Right.
job to get done. I'm not going 10 miles an hour under the speed limit on every single one of those roads where there's no children present.
Right.
You
Right.
just have your sign up.
Your sign is, yep. Yeah, exactly. Because that's the other thing, right? Is that this is only for people going in and going out of the neighborhood at 3:30 and at 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning and 3:30 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
right? Like it's only this in and out work traffic that you're complaining about, and this stupid ass
Yeah.
sign has to be there all day. That speed bump has to slow down the guy trying to get, your Amazon
Yeah.
packages to your house. You
Yeah.
ordered 10
Or,
things from Target and now I have to bring them in and you have these goddamn speed bumps in the
yeah.
way. You know how heavy that is in this truck?
Yeah. Right.
I
Or
mean,
they're
I don't
just
know,
like,
but I can imagine,
yeah, you bring their package to their house and just like, oh, the box looks a little bit damaged. Yeah, your fucking speed bump had it fly off the shelf. I hit the speed. I was going slow, but the back of the truck is a little bit longer than the wheelbase. I had it way in the back. I hit your speed bump, and it was like a freaking teeter totter. Fucking catapult. There it went. Sorry.
Sorry.
I
Okay,
wasn't
anyways,
trying. But yeah,
we got
anyways,
we got
like
on a
so
rant there. So how's the boat doing? And yeah, how's the boat now? Do you know?
so the boat currently, as of 4 o'clock, my parents asked them and they said that they had not got to it yet. They brought it
Busy.
into the shop
Busy.
yesterday. They said that they would get to it today, but then they didn't get to it,
Yeah.
which is
Okay.
fine. Shit happens,
That
people,
totally happens. Yeah. Yeah.
they're giving you an estimate of when they're going to get, look at it. So if
Right.
there's some other thing they got to fix, or the problem with the last boat ended up being more than they were estimating, now he's got to do a little bit more extra work or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
It
That
is
totally
what it is.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff happens. So they didn't get to it
So
yet.
you
So
don't know as of
currently
recording.
we're still waiting. I'm hoping. My dad fired it up like twice after that to see, if um to try to figure out, what's going on, because it wasn't like bringing
Yep.
up the warning light again. So he's
Okay.
like, that's kind of weird. Maybe it isn't fine. Maybe it just had like a faulty sensor. And then the last time he fired it up, me and my nephew immediately were just like, nope, that smells weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something off for sure.
Right.
So he shut it off. And then according to the book, it says that it will run for 5 hours in safe mode.
Holy
Like
shit.
basically, like there's no oil and it can run for 5 hours,
Wow.
which is, I've never heard of that before, man. It
I've
sounded
never heard of
crazy.
an engine running very long without oil. Like
That's what it says. Like it's in safe mode. It'll go
wow.
into like get you home mode. Like you can drive slow.
Right.
Like it won't let it go over a certain
Like you could
RPMs.
push the throttle and nothing happens. It only will go the one
Yeah.
speed or whatever.
Yeah. It'll like let you keep driving, but it won't go very fast. And I was like, well, that seems crazy. So we're hoping that it's not too serious, where we're like, well, we didn't run it very long at all.
Right. Right.
And it's still fired up like the 2 times he was checking on it, just perfect.
Right.
So it
Still
wasn't like it
started,
seized
and
up or
that's
anything. So we're like,
mhm.
fingers crossed. He's a little bit jaded because he had the Ficht Evinrude before that, which is a
Oh,
notorious motor for being whatever that Ficht was. I think is a
there's
guy's last name. and they
Okay.
bought Evinrude, and then they started like outsourcing parts from like Mexico,
Mhm.
and they like were just inferior products, and they all shit out. My dad had that motor, and it like for a while just wouldn't start firing up or whatever.
Mhm.
And then they brought it in, and they said it was like a scorn cylinder, and there
Jesus.
was nothing they could do to fix it. Like the motor
No.
was just shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just
What the
like, okay,
hell?
cool.
So he's got that
Yeah.
bad experience still in
He's got
the
that
back of
bad
his mind, like
experience.
fucking A.
Dude, as soon as it goes
But
down, my
this boat's
parents
been
are like,
around for a while. This motor's been around for a while. You gotta have some confidence in it.
yeah. Yeah, it's been doing well. The boat's like a 2000, and I think the motor is like a 2013 or something. 20
Okay.
maybe like 2011, 2012 or something. So it's like 10
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah.
It's been doing well, but as soon as that happened, him and my mom are just like, we're not buying a new motor. And I'm like, whoa, guys, like let's
Pump the brakes. Pump the
pump the
brakes.
brakes. Hopefully it's not your motor is shit immediately. You know, that's not a
Right.
normal thing. It's not
Right.
normally just the motor's done. You know?
That's not normally how this works. It just was how it worked last time with you guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Your boat motor is not very old at all. Most boat motors last a very long time.
Right.
So let's just chill and hope for the best.
That's
So
funny though.
hopefully that's what happens. But yeah, that was fishing opener. A
Damn.
decent hour catching some fish, but it was cold. And then we're like tomorrow. So and then we're packing up everything, right?
Yeah.
It's like noon. It's like 74. The wind is dying down. There's not a cloud in the sky. I'm just like, fucking A, dude.
Fuck.
It's beautiful. And there's nothing we can do. We have to drive home now.
Right. Like
And there was like,
everything's already written off.
dude,
Everything's already halfway's in the car. There's just your boat's not
was
ready. There's just nothing you can do.
I was trying to stay calm, and I just walk around every once in a while, and I just like look over my shoulder, like see nobody around, and I just go, fuck. No. Ah! And then I just like try to, all
Imagine,
right,
dude.
regain the composure. And then like a little bit later, like I'd have that feeling again. I just like look out at the lake, and I'd see everything, and I just go, ah! Oh! Just have to like randomly just like rage for a little bit.
Just yeah.
Like if anybody saw me, they'd just be like, that dude has Tourette's. Just like, no, his boat, his means
It's like
of
he was doing
fishing.
fine
Just
just a second ago, and
yeah.
now he's freaking out.
Oh yeah, and it's
But
just
that's just
like
proof too, though. Like why this ended up being basically a 3-parter, and why this ended up being like a bummer of a weekend, because it just made you feel that way. Like you just couldn't control it because you were looking forward to the day,
dude.
to this so fucking much. And it's just like, damn, dude, I feel so bad for you.
It's okay, but I'll tell you, like it carried into the week. We can get
Oh,
if you're
fuck.
ready, we can roll right into the next topic, and I'll just be like, it just kept. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it just kept fucking snowballing. Like everything wasn't going right. Where eventually it got to a point where I'm just kind of like laughing, just walking
Oh,
into a place
fuck,
and like
really?
looking for something. And I'm just like, yeah, of course. You know, like it
Fucking A.
wasn't. It turned into be like nothing that was that big of a deal, but it was still just like that whole
Right.
obviously
Right, because you have this thing on your head. Like you have this thing in your brain, so every little annoying thing was amplified, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.